Fantasy Football Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to the People's Poll, the show each and every Monday from Planet FPL where we talk about a topic of your choosing. My name's Suj.
My name is James.
What do we have today, James?
We have firstly a thank you for everybody that came on Saturday.
Yep.
That was a blast, wasn't it?
Yep.
How's the hangover?
Gone. But I'm really hungry and I know what we're going to talk about now as well. So I'm like hangry because I'm hungry, but then I know what won the People's Poll. I'm like, why do we have to talk about this?
It's just a conversation,
Later.
isn't it?
Yeah, later.
That's for the main show.
Thank you.
That's not going to convey on the audio.
What were the options,
there
sir?
were 4 topics for this morning's People's Poll. Concussion substitutes. We believed we were in a position this was going to get implemented for next season. It now may have been delayed. I was going to do a little chat of why, how concussion substitutions will potentially work. We also put up the 2012 UEFA Champions League final, which I am absolutely delighted did not win this poll, but I thought some people might be interested to hear how badly I squirmed that night when Chelsea beat Bayern Munich. Obviously, those two play each other in the Champions League this week.
Yep.
Second in the vote was Neymar. I thought following the Messi poll that we did and things that Messi had said this week about Neymar needing to apologise before he comes back to Barcelona, it seems like the wheels are in motion for them. But I wanted to go back and look at what's happened for Neymar while he's been at PSG, because I think he went there believing that was going to make him the best footballer in the world, and it hasn't, which might not be any fault of his, just because Messi and Ronaldo have maintained their levels to such a ridiculous degree. The winner of the poll, clearly by a large majority, was the offside rule. Part up into contention because of what is continuously happening with VAR and Arsene Wenger's idea last week that he would completely overhaul the offside rule from what it is now to potentially being that if any part of your body was onside, you're onside, rather than any part being off.
Any part of your body that you can score a goal with.
Essentially, yeah.
Because if you're onside with a part of your body that you can't score a goal with, then you'd still be offside. Now, just that sentence, you said to radically overhaul it. It's not really a radical overhaul. Like when I heard the news about Wenger like putting in this thing, change the rule. I'm like, it doesn't make it any better or worse. It's just like, okay, rather than being half an inch on, you're half an inch off, it's still going to be the same debate. It's just, well, he's a little bit more on now than not. It just seems, I actually don't understand how it's going to make anything better. It's just different. You could be onside with.
What do you think of that as an idea? Well, I'll tell you what is good about Wenger's very knowledgeable about his football and stuff and the way he wants the game to move forward. And he's getting noises in where he's beginning to influence people, I think. Now, at least he approaches it from a football perspective rather than a business or a TV. He wants the best for football, whether you agree or don't agree with him.
I don't doubt that. I think anything that favours the attacking player more is a positive change for the offside rule. What talk to me about daylight between players?
So there was for a period
because they were talking about this as well, and I got a bit
idea
confused
of
here.
Daylight. The problem with daylight now, with say VAR, is depending on the camera angle of what football stadium you're in, daylight may look completely different in one stadium to another. That's why I don't think that can be used now.
Okay, so as it stands right now, your whole body has to be behind the line of the last defender.
Yes, bar, arm, basically.
So a part of your body that you can't score a goal with, that can be in front of the defender, but the rest of your body has to be behind the last defender.
So I think
you're basically reversing the rule.
On Saturday, I think Giroud's arm was offside, but none of his body was, for example,
right.
in the build-up to Chelsea's first goal. So that's fine. He can't score with that, right?
Yeah. So it'll be basically the reverse now with the new rule. I think it'll be better because I think there'll probably be less controversy. I think thinking about it, there'll be less controversy. As long as you can see a little bit is behind, go with the goal. I also think like the amount of distance for an attacker to have a massive advantage over a defender. Like if you're still within touching distance, the defender should be able to get back and cover him. So I think giving the advantage to the attacking player in this sense will be better. And thinking about it, it'll probably make VAR decisions a little bit easier. I don't think it'll be perfect, but I think it'll be better.
I think Wenger's idea would be worse.
Because
it's not going to eradicate the problem of what we've got now.
No, but I don't think anything will eradicate it. I just think will it be better than? So I'd rather a situation that was better than worse.
I don't think it is better than. Let's say, very surreal argument here, but let's say that a player is laying on the floor. I don't know, he's had a shot and he's fallen over, and he's laying flat on the floor as the second rebound comes in. So if his 2 feet are onside, in theory, his head, which he may then score with if he gets back up, could be about, 6 feet offside?
Yeah, potentially. But then he's lying on the deck.
That's a big deal. Yeah, I get that. And it's a very extreme example that I'm giving you
I think you can't create rules for the exception. You have to create rules for the majority of cases. And the majority of cases where there's an issue is where they're talking about the finest of stupid margins. All of those offsides, where it's armpit or not, or testicle hair or not, are now going to be onside. And so there's a whole massive swathe of decisions that won't be disputed. And I think the majority of decisions, if you looked at the ones where you're like, come on, man, it's like his heel or something, being given as goals, no one will complain about them being given as goals. They'll be like, you know what, it is, it's fine.
But what about if it's just the back of that heel is now 2 millimeters onside?
That's
and the goal's
fine, because I think it's close enough that the defender should be able to cover it.
If you take that someone's striding, right, and he is 2 millimeter onside by the back of his heel rather than the front of his toe, that's not right, in my opinion.
No.
That is then given as a goal onside. So you would basically, for me, you would have to say to teams, you can't even attempt to play offside anymore. And for me, that's going to make our game worse. Do you know why? Because teams are just going to play even deeper.
Right, but then as it stands right now, it's harder for the attacking player to get in front of the strike. Like timing runs and all the rest of it now with VAR is so much more difficult or open to interpretation.
You can if you're clever enough. If you take, again, like Giroud's goal on Saturday, when I was watching that, I was obviously pissed off at the time, but I thought when it happened immediately, from what I've learnt this year, that I knew it was borderline offside straight away. Before he's had the first shot, before Barkley's had the rebound, I know, because I'm thinking in my head, how has he got in front of Alderweireld there? He's not quick, right?
I don't think it...
So I knew it must have been ball up, but if your movement is clever enough, which it was, his move, as soon as the ball went into Jorginho don't even look, Giroud knows where it's going, and as soon as it's into Jorginho, he's off and he's in behind. So if you're clever enough, of course you can still get in behind.
You can. Then it's about how close the defender are you, because you could be on the other side of the pitch and a defender on this side is playing you onside. I just think, will teams sit deeper? When teams are defending and trying to play offside, they'll push forward more. And so if they want to play somebody offside, they're going to have to push forward that little bit more. So maybe it'll leave more space in behind for more goals. The reason Wenger's pitched it is to favour the attacking teams and have more goals. Will it create that? I think time will tell, but I think it potentially could. There's as much of a case that defending teams can push forward a little bit more than sit back in deep to try and really hold on. On the other side, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one to see if he gets it through, because it's only the meeting that they were going to discuss it. It's only in a few weeks, I think, something along the lines.
Yes, I mean,
we would know by the end of.
This is not something that's going to come in for next season.
No, I thought from what I heard was that they were going to have a vote on it by March.
It's in Belfast on Friday, I think.
Which means it could then be if it's voted for on Friday, it could be in time for next season.
In theory, it could be used at the European Championships.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be used at the Euros, but I think in the next league season it could.
This would need to be trialled somewhere. I would suggest with respect, a lower league somewhere in, I don't know, Scandinavia or Asia or something for a season to trial this. That is a complete...
We have learned that bringing something in crazy...
sizable shift to football rules. Honestly, it's huge.
I'm also curious as to whether or not players in the moment of the match are trying to figure out whether they're 1 foot on or like 1 foot not being 30 centimeters but being a foot onside or off. They're playing at such a pace that they have no awareness of it anyway. So whether or not in the heat of the moment they will think slightly differently, hold their run back or go that
Go a bit
split
earlier.
second earlier, I don't know if they would or wouldn't. I think because it's so instinctive in the moment that they would just do what they do, and if they're on, they're on, they're off, they're off, but they'll get the benefit of the doubt. You may find players going a little bit earlier.
If you take like a dead ball set piece from, say, a wide area, obviously now you have to be in line. You could stretch out your legs, couldn't you, and keep your 1 foot back and get your body weight already shifting to go in front. Whereas now, if you want to shift your body weight to, because what will happen is generally you'll have like, say like Liverpool will play like a high line on, say, the edge of the box. The attacking players cannot go to lean in ahead. Obviously your head can't be offside, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to take a yard off of what you're thinking to do. If you change that rule suddenly, you could lean back your foot and still be heading in the direction of the goal.
I can imagine players standing in front of the defender, like one leg out full stretch to keep that foot onside and then hopping on the other leg whilst the free kick's being taken. You see some stupid stuff potentially, but I don't think it'd give you necessarily an advantage.
The thing is, so in 1990 the offside law was changed. Believe it or not, I didn't really know this. I looked at it a bit last night. But in 1990, before then, if you were level, you were offside. Mm-hmm. So that got amended to them being, if you're level, you're onside. Is there anything wrong? Remove VAR for a second. Is there anything wrong currently with the offside rule?
So here's the next kind of maybe topic I was going to raise with you right here right now with VAR. It's not even necessarily on or off. What I would like them to do is, in the instance where it's not clear and obvious, and you've got to get these yellow and red lines and blue lines out, give the benefit, like just don't even entertain overturning or trying to get the right decision. If you can't figure it out with those lines within 15 seconds or 20 seconds, just don't bother and give the goal or what have you, and just be done with it, because that I think would be fine. And if they did that, then actually I have no problem with the rule. But it's the uncertainty of when they make a decision, and even when they've made that decision using technology, that it's not necessarily the right decision anyway, because it's not clear and obvious, and so you might have overturned or given a goal, which it just I would.
This time last year, if we were sitting here, was there anything wrong with the offside rule?
No.
Right, I think that's the point, isn't it?
No.
I agree. There's nothing wrong with it.
But VAR's not going anywhere, so
No.
I think this allows VAR to have an easier ride of it, because you can just see 1 millimeter onside. It makes VAR decisions more palatable if they change the rules. Whether or not
one of the ideas currently is to make this line thicker, isn't it? Is that going to change anything?
No, because they're not like 4K Ultra HD zooming in.
And some people come up with this absolutely
man.
bonkers idea of like a 10 centimetre tolerance.
But no, you can't measure that.
But that's what I'm saying. You're then going to have to measure the 10 centimetres. It's going to take even bloody longer.
I just think if this rule change didn't come in, but they just eliminated offsides from VAR, if they can't get it within 30 seconds, I would rather that than the change in the rule. But if VAR is going to stay and interfere, then I'd rather the change in the rule, because I think it will help VAR.
You know, I've got massively strong opinions on this. I mean, if you take Lo Celso, we'll talk about it on the main pod. Like, they VAR'd that and not given the red card. Everybody knows. I'm watching it at the time as a biased fan. I know it's a red card.
But 25 minutes later, they admitted that it was the wrong incorrect decision.
Yeah, I mean, so that... Do we even trust this technology they're using right now on offside in terms of its accuracy, in terms of measuring it when the ball's played? At the end of the day, it's actually been... the lines are being drawn by a human, right? Mm. Is it even 100% accurate when you're disallowing goals like the Wolves goal against Leicester, Wolves goal at Liverpool, Pookie's goal against Tottenham? Are they even drawing that line correctly?
The other issue with when VAR gets involved with offsides, I think Wolves suffered from it the other week, where you're going back like 3 phases of play almost, and you're rewinding to find an offside 30 seconds ago or 45 seconds ago to then disallow the goal. I'm like, how far back do you want to go for the offside particularly? I can understand a foul or something like that, but you're like, okay, he was offside in between the halfway line and the edge of the box 45 seconds ago, and so we're going to disallow the goal now by pulling it back all the way there. Oh, come on.
There isn't a linesman in the history of football in that particular Wolves-Leicester game would have given that as offside.
No, exactly.
To the naked eye. Impossible. Even though it's right in front of him. Impossible.
Yeah. That at that point, when it's breaking up the flow of the game and the enjoyment of the game and then the emotions of scoring and then having it disallowed, I don't like it. So if this speeds up the VAR involvement, then I think I would rather Wenger's changing rules, or at least try it and see what happens.
I don't think it will speed anything up. I just think
that's because VAR.
You're suddenly,
VAR.
instead of just looking at it, is any part of his body offside? You'd now just be looking at it as any part of his body onside, right?
Yep.
So I don't think it would change anything.
I think it's easier to. Well, I don't. Maybe I'd have to look at a few. I think it's easier to see if someone's on than off, maybe.
But surely
Because
then,
you can
like
draw
I
a
said,
line from the edge
instead
of someone's foot and just say, is there any black boot or sock or whatever?
Are we going to get goals given now where rather than Roberto Firmino being offside with his armpit, that he's actually going to be onside with his armpit, like the opposite, like his body shape is so one way round? Oh yeah, his whole body's offside, but actually his armpit's onside. Are we not just doing the opposite?
We are. I just think it will be easier to see players onside if it's any part.
But to the naked eye as a fan, and this is the biggest one for me. You and I both have very similar seats. Yours is admittedly about 200 yards further back. But in terms of view, we have a very similar perspective of the game where we sit at the football stadiums.
Okay.
So we're kind of basically in line with the penalty area.
Yeah.
Roughly enough.
Yeah.
We're actually one of the lucky ones.
So anything on my side, I can see very clearly offsides. On the other end of the pitch, it's a bit harder because of the angle. But
you and I have actually got a better perspective than a lot of people. Take Harry Kane had a goal disallowed against Brighton on Boxing Day. I never moved because I was convinced he was offside. Actually, on the replay, he was so fractionally offside. There's nobody within that 62,000 people could make that judgment call absolutely correctly. Do we want that sort of goal? There was the John Lundstrom one, where I obviously went a bit mental on Twitter. Like, nobody wants to see that goal disallowed. No. That's where we're at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because those goals aren't getting disallowed 12 months ago. Or even if they are, let's put it a different way. Let's take that one to Sheffield United at Spurs, John Lundstrom. Let's say the linesman does put the flag up. Well, okay, game stops there and then free kick to Tottenham. No one's any different.
No,
You've
exactly.
forgotten about it now.
Yeah.
Are we not? Isn't that
the linos
better?
are not making these decisions at the moment. That's an issue.
Well, I think so as well. I think anything borderline, they're not necessarily taking the chance. I mean, what have we seen? 4 or 5 goals given that were disallowed for offside?
Yeah.
How many cancelled out? 40 maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Nah, it doesn't make sense.
Isn't the solution here really just to
40
say...
goals cancelled out from offside this year.
VAR is not equipped to be doing offside at the moment. So
Yeah,
don't
correct.
do it unless there is absolute clear and obvious. The one I referenced last year, which was astonishing, was Azpilicueta's goal at Cardiff, where he was in the 6-yard box and he was about 2 yards offside.
Yeah, very offside.
And that's the sort of one where you can get, right, quick replay. Oh, mate, yeah, listen, he's well off. You need to...
James Milner's cross under the stadium, I remember, he was well off. Yeah, those you see it, you do it like 10 to 15 seconds. You've seen it, it's offside, disallow the goal, job done. But as soon as you start drawing lines, maybe they should get rid of the lines. Be like, if you can't tell if someone's offside without your lines, you're not allowed to interfere.
The other mass thing is, put it on in the stadium. If you're going to be insistent on it.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Why not? All right, let's say it's going to stay as it is, and they're going to draw the lines, right?
Yeah.
If they get the lines out, and everybody in the stadium can at least follow this prick drawing his fucking lines, at least we can see it.
But it'll annoy you even more, trust me.
It'll
I've been in the
annoy me,
stadium
but
where they're
at
showing a
least I
replay of
know.
a disallowed decision that we didn't think was disallowed or whatever, and it just annoys everybody even more.
But at least everybody gets to the resolution and sees what's happening. There's serious talks as well about talking about miking these guys up next year, isn't it?
Yeah, and that I don't mind.
I think that opens a whole different... I mean, I'd like that, but it opens a whole different can about player behaviour on a football pitch.
Well, they'd have to stop swearing for one straight away. But they do it in rugby and it's fine. It's funny, I was thinking about rugby even in concussion substitution rules and stuff that were going to come in as well. But so if VAR is going to still interfere, I think this will, from my personal point of view, is it will make it easier. If VAR is not going to interfere as much, I'd rather the rule stayed as it is. And what I don't like more than anything, I guess, is the lino losing the power to raise his flag, which they're not doing sometimes. That's annoying. You want them to still make the decision on the field and let VAR review it. They're not making the decision sometimes and letting VAR do their job. And then obviously when it gets contentious and the lines are so close, it's not ideal at all.
Pre-VAR, they reckon 98% of decisions given by assistant referees were accurate.
98, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're at 100. Is anybody happier?
I don't think we are at 100 though.
No, well, I don't. But
That's the thing,
I don't know.
right?
Are we
I don't
happier?
think we are at 100.
There are other things that are wrong with what's happening at the moment as well. So there was one in the Arsenal game yesterday, and it didn't impact anything. But I'm pretty sure there was an incident where it might have been Aubameyang or Saka flew away down the left, and it looked like to the naked eye, looked like they were well off. So linesman's indecisive in the moment, and play continues, and Arsenal end up with a corner. What happens at that point, and we know what happens, it would be a goal if Arsenal then score from that corner. Is it not just something so fundamentally wrong about well, we know that it wouldn't. That they would deem it as you have the opportunity to defend from the corner. But if he's offside in the play, and the linesman's thinking, "Oh, I'll let it go," and then they score from the corner, is that right? So then it goes back to, we'll talk about it later, but like it's different. But the Burnley Bournemouth, like how long do you let it go?
How far? That was an extreme case because
we had this fear this was going to
goal,
happen for a while, and now it's happened.
The extreme opposite was a penalty and a goal at the other end. It's like disallowing a goal is one thing. Disallowing a goal in a way that gives the other team a penalty and the opportunity to score, which they then do, is like being punched in the stomach and kicked in the balls all at the same time.
For me, as a supporter in a football stadium, I need immediate resolution to what is happening for me on a visual.
15, 20 seconds max.
On offside, I need it quicker than that. I need it within a couple of seconds. When a goal is scored, I as a fan need to know in a couple of seconds if that's a goal or not. I'm talking 3 seconds tops.
So you would have no VAR on offside whatsoever?
100% I would have no. What I would say is, and I've spoken about this briefly in the past in terms of, I think we'll get to a point where technology takes over here, and at which point it will supersede and be beneficial. There were trials done during the Club World Cup in Qatar in December.
Chips in boots or...
Was all done by technology. No, it's not chips in boots or anything like that. It's basically just a complete constant manual 2 lines of second last defender. Obviously, that's normally a defender rather than 2 defenders. And obviously the furthest forward an attacker. And the lines are just constantly... And they're basically trying to get an AI system that can work in terms of time ball moves. And so the decision will eventually become instant. Whether that be then message goes to linesman to raise his flag or a noise goes off in the stadium, something. That's the resolution we need to get to. Until we get there, I don't want VAR to have any part in offsides. I don't care if it's wrong and a goal is scored against me illegally.
What the AI doesn't know, though, I mean, it'll tell you whether the player's onside or offside, is at what point has he kicked the ball? At what point is the ball played? Well,
that's why say that with the AI.
You've got half a second this side. That's subjective as well. When they freeze offside decisions, they're freezing it at a certain point when the players kick the ball, but you could go 2 seconds, not 2 seconds, but half a second either way, and you'd probably still see the ball on the foot of the player. And that adds another level of when do you pause it? When do you freeze frame it?
Well, if the AI can do it, they reckon the testing went really well for it. No, that needs a lot more testing in the back.
Yeah, I don't trust anything they say about testing with the way that VAR has been fast this year.
Would you not be happy if that could come into play, and then as a football supporter inside a football stadium, you then had that immediate information?
The faster I get the information, the better. No doubt about that. I just think I'd give VAR the benefit of 15, 20 seconds to watch a quick replay and tell me whether they're onside or not. But yeah, not minutes.
I want to know.
15, 20 seconds.
I want to know when a goal's scored if I can celebrate or not.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever get that back.
Then
I don't think you ever get that back.
Then we're losing the grip of the game we love. That's your bottom line and your end, mate.
Yeah, but with Wenger's changing the rule, which is the start point of the discussion, you're more likely to want to celebrate a goal than less likely, in my opinion, because there's more chance he's kept a little bit of his body onside than off.
I think visually you would still have the same fear, because actually visually to the eye, more often than not, it will look offside and you might find the goals are given.
From the angles that we have, I don't know. I feel like I get only 60, especially at the other end of the pitch, 60% of the time when it looks offside it is, or vice versa. I think I only get it 60% of the time. So I don't know if it will improve it or not much. Be interesting to see. We're both in agreement, though, we don't like the current state, and not us, everyone. No one likes the current
But
state.
it's not the rule, is it? When
No,
we sit
it's not
down
the
and
rule.
look at it, it's not the rule.
It's the problem is VAR. So if VAR is staying, then I would change the rule to
Does
help
the
VAR.
offside law need amending? That's the final question, I think.
No.
That's the point, isn't it? There is nothing wrong with the law as it is now.
You've got me thinking there a little bit. I whether or not VAR, there's nothing wrong with the law right now. You can be level and you can be onside, right? Yeah, then there's nothing wrong with the law right now.
We need to piss off the lines, or at least get to the point where if you're going to judge, say, Giroud's toe offside like it was against United, that we don't implement it until we've got that AI ability that can then make that decision within seconds.
Yeah, I'm 60-40 on this, whether or not we need to change it. I'm not opposed to Wenger trying to change the rule, to be honest with you. I'm sure they've done more research and analysis.
How would you feel if following next week or at the end of the season, they announced that they would not use VAR at all on offside decisions?
Fine.
I'm telling you now,
Got no problem with that.
I would want to grab my dick. I would be so happy. So happy.
Yeah, I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with it, but I'd also be fine with it if they announced this change in the rule to give it a trial and see what happens. If you gave me the choice of the two, no VAR or change in rule, I'd take no VAR. I think Wenger's rule will get quite a lot of votes.
I think he's got a chance. I don't know if it's a good thing.
Time will tell. The thing is, once these things do get rolled out, we're not very quick to reverse the changes in football.
Well, essentially, he's come up with an idea that it's not like revolutionary. It's not like no one's ever thought about it before. But because Wenger seems to be walking in the right corridors at the moment, it seems to have got picked up quite a bit of traction. I don't think it benefits our game. I think, yes, of course, there'll be more goals scored. I don't think it benefits football in the long term. And I don't think it fixes the problem of the frustrations that we currently feel.
No, agree with you on that, for sure. If you have an opinion on Wenger's new rule or thoughts on the offside, you just need to drop it in the comments below on YouTube or SoundCloud or on Twitter. I'll be interested in what people's thoughts are on whether or not we should change the rules or just get rid of VAR. Well, if we give VAR, if your opinion is get rid of VAR, then keep it, because it's not going to happen. I don't think they will take offside out of VAR. I don't think they'll take anything out of VAR. So
that's what I'd like them to push for. I accept VAR is not going to go away. I think VAR, when used properly, I can get it. Like, if you use it properly for Lo Celso at the weekend, that's where it works. When they still don't get the decision right, then there's not really an excuse.
That's why we hold our head in our hands.
And Harry Maguire the week before.
Exactly. It's mad. What have we got left this week, James? I mean, say left this week. We've only just started this week.
We are main podcast this evening, Tuesday, Tottenham, Wednesday, Sky, Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents, Newcastle versus Burnley, FPL Footballer and Turfy Topper. I think actually for Burnley, there's a few looking now. Good run of results. Available in game week 31 for those not free hitting. And Newcastle could also pay 31. I think there's a few cheapies there. People are starting to think, Lascelles, St. Maximin. So we'll speak to Sai and Jack, get their latest thoughts on things. Friday final plan.
Indeed. So that's a full regular rundown of all of our FPL content that's coming at you. We will be doing the main pod before Liverpool West Ham, but we'll chuck in a review on that. I know a lot of FPL players will have double defence or Salah or Mane, and it's the same old debate tonight. Who have you got the armband on? You and me are both on Salah.
Salah's effective ownership is off the charts.
We had that. We did the poll at the live show on Saturday, and yeah, the vast majority of the room had the armband on Mo Salah. So it'd be interesting to see what happens tonight. He's going to blank.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to go down in history as the one game that Liverpool lost in their incredible season. So do stay tuned for my review of that tomorrow. Other than that, ciao for now.
Key music, man, child.
Messi, ancora 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 Messi,